We'll be chilling and having a good time. Doesn't matter if the snow is falling or the wind blows and the rain is pouring. It will always be Christmas in my heart. But this year I wanna hang out with my friends and family, making angels in the sand. You ready? Doesn't matter, it is Christmas in my heart, and I can promise Santa.
Alright guys, so I hope you guys enjoyed watching that full ride of Rise of the Resistance. It took a lot of work to get there, but I have to say I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was really fun, very immersive.
I think it's the best dark ride I've ever been on by far. I mean, I'm not a theme park aficionado, but for me, it is literally the best dark ride I've ever been on. The scale that you feel like you get on the Star Destroyer, you're feeling like you're in the story, seeing the guns go off. Some of the chase scenes and stuff are really fun, combined with like the little droids on the front. I mean, you really do feel like you're there. Plus, the cast members were A+. They did an amazing job, and they were totally in it. Especially in some of the scenes, you really felt like they were first order people, telling you what to do and where to stand.
Exactly. Okay, so the ride basically starts off, you go into a room and BB-8 is there, as well as a holograph of Rey, and Rey basically gives you your mission.
Yeah.
And you
and
go
it's
ahead.
a mission for Senator Leia. That's who it is. So your goal is to get to this base that she has set up across the galaxy from Batuu.
So you exit that room, you run across like a field, essentially, a ship that I believe, who's supposed to be in the ship? I know BB-8's on the outside.
So it's Poe's X-Wing is what it is. It's the black X-Wing that Poe uses in the series. It's got BB-8 in the back because he's ready to take off. And if you look at the cockpit area, you can actually see like a helmet outline of a person being in there. So that's there. And then it's really kind of like if you've ever tried to get on a helicopter and like the noise that surrounds you as you're running towards the helicopter, that's what they try to make it feel like. The ship has like light up engines. It is amazing, the detail.
Yeah.
Light up engines, the ship is kind of like breathing, if you know what that is, when it's kind of like flexing as it's getting ready to take off. If you look in the turbines, the colors, like it's starting to spin up and stuff. Really, really cool and really loud. So the cast members like yelling, get in, get in. You just kind of have this whole like very loud situation going on as you get in the ride. With that being said, though, there was someone in a wheelchair with us, and they took their time for him. So it's not like they're rushing you, really, but they're making you feel like it's kind of rushing.
Yeah. And then so you go into the ship that is going to take you on your mission.
But he's a Mon Calamarian, and then they have the guy who was Han Solo when he loans it to Lando Calrissian, the guy who was flying the Millennium Falcon. I don't think it's him though, but I think it's whatever planet he's from. He's actually the pilot of the ship, and they have both of those animatronics up front. Super cool.
Very
Mon
awesome.
Calamarian was amazing.
Yeah, like I thought I could like reach out and like touch him. It was really cool. And there's a scene in the front of the ship, and there's also a scene in the back of the ship. So if you get placed in the back of the ship, you will still be able to see stuff from the back. So there's a scene that we didn't get to catch because we were in the front that specifically plays out in the back of the ship. So, and it does feel like you're moving.
Yeah, and you can see it wasn't that filled when we took the ride, so you were able to see the front and the back. But it's good to remember that there's stuff going on both angles, and it's really cool how they sync up. Like it really looks like you're leaving Batuu when they launch into space, and then when you get into space, you're actually being followed by an X-wing Poe's in front of you, and then there's two or three other X-wings behind you flying. So if you turn around, you can actually see those X-wings behind you, kind of guiding your craft in.
Okay, so then you get captured, and then you come off of the ship into the giant Star Destroyer room, and like it's massive. Like I mean, huge. I felt like I was in a totally different space.
Yeah, I mean, there's a Star Destroyer on the wall. Not a Star Destroyer, I'm sorry. A TIE Fighter on the wall. And it's so big that TIE Fighter fits in the middle of the room, and there's space in the top and the bottom. And then a huge screen in the back looking at, like you're looking out into space.
Yeah,
And
amazing
a good,
room.
like 50 Stormtrooper animatronics that are just kind of there. Along with the cast members who are taped more as like officers of First Order. And they're kind of shuffling you through that room.
And then you go into that other queue that I said kind of breaks the moment a little bit, but once you get a little bit further in, the cast members do a really good job trying to keep you immersed in what's happening, because you really need that if you're going into a secondary queue of a line, and we were only in that line maybe 3 to 5 minutes, so we weren't in there very long. But I imagine as this ride gets busier, that queue is going to be longer.
It's a very long hallway, so if this ride gets busier, there's a ton of people that can actually fit in that hallway to sort of lengthen the amount of time you have to be in there.
After you finish in that queue, you kind of get grouped off into separate groups again, and you go into your interrogation room, which is actually the group you'll be riding with, which is very interesting. And that kind of just sets the ride off. And again, they did a really good job keeping that immersive, that sequence from the queue into your ride good. There's a little bit of a break when you get into your rescue vehicle, because they're like, please buckle your seatbelts and pull on the yellow tabs, and, you know, standard Disney spiels.
Yeah, but so when you go into the interrogation room, it's really kind of cool. You're standing there, you watch the screen, and Kylo Ren and that other main guy from the First Order. Again, I'm not a big fan of the third series, so I don't know that other guy's name. But he's the big guy who's always like in button heads with Kylo Ren because he wants control of the military, but yet Kylo Ren technically has it. So they kind of come in, they give you their spiel, and then all of a sudden what's really cool is the wall starts getting cut. So next to you it like lights up like someone's cutting it, and then the wall pulls back and opens up, and then there's a resistance fighter behind it. Now, they didn't have a chopping thing to chop the wall, which I thought was kind of interesting. They could always add that, I guess, later on. But they're just like, come on, we're freeing you. Let's get out of here now. You know, we're the rebellion. And then you jump into the rides that are, I guess we would say the second part of the actual ride, the ride vehicles.
The part where we're actually doing some stuff.
Yeah.
So we're going to kind of give a general overview of the second part of the ride, because there is a lot there. There's a lot to talk about, and maybe we can do another video where we specifically talk about the different rooms and all of the different rides. But I will say one of my favorite parts of the ride was definitely when you go into the room with the AT-ATs. That was really cool. Like, they're all around you, and you feel like so small underneath all of these AT-ATs. And the other room that I really liked, you go into a room and it's like Space 360, and then Kylo Ren gets sucked out of the room, supposedly, into space. So that was kind of cool. Very visual, like even like all around you, like the wind, you can hear it on the video, you can hear the wind on my camera, because they did make it seem like there was some suction there.
Yeah, I would say, I think my favorites, the AT-AT room was really good. That you talked about, the when you walk in with the walkers, they're really huge. They learned a lot from the Ratatouille ride and perspectives, and you could just really tell that you feel like really small in comparison to those AT-ATs. That's really cool. Another thing that I think is really cool is as you're going through the ride and people are shooting at you, damage occurs in the hallways and stuff. So it's really fascinating to be looking around you as like stormtroopers are firing at you, or the AT-AT when it fires at you. You're looking around, it's making like these massive holes behind you, and they're like projecting these images onto the side. It's just amazing, amazing.
Yeah, there's a lot of elements in this ride.
And then the second thing I would say is the gun room was really amazing too. Seeing like the big guns on a Star Destroyer just be shooting. I mean, I've seen them in Clone Wars. So that's probably the only time I've ever actually seen the guns firing from a ship. But to see them almost like in person firing, it was just amazing seeing that piece. And the Kylo Ren that she talks about, if you watch in the video, all the videos we watch before the ride don't really do that room justice. You really have to be there to see it, because it is just that cool. The feelings that you get are just so much better in person if you can ride it.
All right, so there is a small drop on this ride. It's kind of interesting. It's really not as intense as I thought it would be. It's probably maybe 1 to 2 stories.
Yeah, it's not that long of a drop. It's probably just like a little one drop story. But it's really cool. You get in the escape pod. So after you've gone through the Star Destroyer, you get in the escape pods because it's exploding. That's where the drop happens. You get dropped, and then you take off back to Batuu. So you're kind of flying in a sort of like Star Tours-esque, flying back to Batuu. You land, you miss your target, and you kind of land in this off zone on Batuu. And your ride vehicle detaches from the elevator and then goes outside, where you unload. And you see one more animatronic of the Mon Calamari, the pilot from the previous ship, and then you sort of roll to the end. One of the coolest parts I thought about the end of it is that unlike on other rides, like Rock and Roller Coaster and stuff, you can clearly see around the corner where the ride vehicle goes, and it goes right into the queue for the next passengers. With this one, there's just 2 ride vehicles with you, and that's it. And it feels like...
And they stay there for a while.
So you're getting off the ride, you see yourself getting off the ride, and it really felt like we were the only people there. Now, this may change when they start going more to capacity, but for right now, I mean, that was just amazing to feel like you were the only people on that ride. when you get off, and you're the only people that made it out of that Star Destroyer destruction.
Truly, definitely an experience.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's super immersive.
So I have to say, overall, in closing, video doesn't do this ride justice. This ride is definitely a huge engineering feat for Disney. I give them props on that. It was really fun, really immersive. I really loved it. I think it's got rewritability for sure.
Yeah.
The waiting for a boarding group, I'm not really sure about that. I'll determine that in the future, how much effort I'm willing to put in to do that, to get on the ride. But the ride is amazing, totally worth going.
There's a lot of stuff too. There's so much stuff going on that has rewritability because you want to see the other sections. Like there's hidden Poe animatronics that are in some of the scenes and stuff. If you're not paying attention, you'd miss them. And so maybe on a second or third ride till you see it. Same thing with the blaster marks. All those blaster marks that are happening, you can't see all of them when you're riding the ride because you kind of lose focus because there's so much going on.
Exactly. So I hope you guys enjoyed riding Ride of the Resistance with us, and look for more videos. And we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Yeah.